Hello everyone, today I want to talk about a topic that's been going around a lot because Kotaku has been, laying off a lot of their journalists and stuff. And the broader conversation around games journalism as a medium, why it's dying, why it has been dead. I'm of the opinion it's been dead for like 10 years now. But I want to go through the entire timeline of what I see as why the games journalism industry has died over time, and why it's dead now, and why I don't really think it's going to come back as much. I saw a video from RGT85 that, he went into it saying that, remote work and all this stuff, and it's not like the magazines of back then and stuff like that. Yes, I definitely agree, but I think there is a clear line, point by point, as to why the games journalism industry has died over the years, and I want to give my opinion on that today. And I want some discussion about that. Like, do you think it's still going to be relevant in a couple of years? Do you think it's going to bounce back, or is it going to keep being the sinking ship that it has been for the past 10 or so years? So, I first noticed game journalism dying, at least personally, back in 2007 with the review of Kane and Lynch Dead Men by Jeff Gerstmann on GameSpot. So he gave the game a mediocre review. I think it was either a 6 or a 7 out of 10, something like that. And basically IDOS came to GameSpot and said, we're running all these ads on your website for our game. Your journalist decided to not give our game a good review. We're going to pull our ads if you don't do something. And so they fired him. Now, this kind of access journalism, I'm sure, has been a thing in gaming for years, and I'm sure publishers go to, gaming publications all the time back in the day and said, we're going to run ads, please talk about our game favorably. But this is the first time it was so blatant, like you just saw it. And there were articles about it and everything. It was a big story when it happened. And that was the first time that I was kind of clued in on, hey, the gaming, journalism industry isn't exactly what it appears to be. It's kind of a sham. And that was when I think it hurt a lot of credibility with people who actively, looked at game reviews, which I never was a person who looked at game reviews to decide if I wanted to buy a game exactly. I'm just, a geek, and I like looking into gaming related topics and reviews and seeing different perspectives on the game. But yeah, as far as gaming publications, that was the first time where I was just like, holy shit, this is massive, So I think that was the first kind of chink in the armor of your online publications. And we can go into the next few things as terrible reviews. So IGN is notorious for their terrible reviews, like Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby, where the negative was too much water, even though the region that it's in is, of course, host to a lot of water Pokemon. And it was a very faithful recreation, but, too much water, it's a meme. And not only that, but Alien Isolation, this is honestly one of the worst reviews, because the entire review is written by Ryan McCaffrey, and he goes through how the game is too long, he died too much, it's a frustrating game because the AI is too good, essentially. And then he drops the bombshell that he played on hard mode. He didn't even play on normal. He didn't drop the difficulty when it was too hard for him. He played on hard mode, and then said that the game was too long, and that, the creature had way too much, way too good of AI. He kept dying hundreds and hundreds of times, and it's like, well, if you're dying hundreds of times and you have the game on hard mode, why not drop the difficulty? But he gave it a 5.9, which is egregious for anybody who is an Alien fan. You could not even like the style of game it is. You could not like stealth or survival horror, but anybody with eyes can see that Alien Isolation is a quality product, and to say it's a 5.9 mediocre game, especially when something like, Colonial Marines is out there, is insane to me. And then, this is years later, but you have Dean Takahashi's gameplay of Cuphead. And this was another huge moment for people when they're watching this guy who's a games journalist, supposed to be an authority on gaming, and he's struggling to even pass the tutorial of jumping on a box and dashing in the air. Something that a 7-year-old could do and be through this tutorial way before he even jumps over this one platform. And it's just kind of sad because, again, these are supposed to be the authority on video games. These are the people who tell you if a game is worth buying or, you know, not worth buying, and they can't even get past the tutorial easily. And you have somebody who played Alien Isolation on hard and said the game was too hard, and the game is terrible because he died so many times because it's too hard on hard. But yeah, this was yet another perfect example of the video game industry being terrible. So now we get to the big one, and I guarantee you, like, there's a lot of people that are going to groan when they hear this because it's talked about to death, but the death of gamers in 2014 with, of course, Gamergate. Probably the most talked about event in history when it comes to politics and culture and gaming and literally everything. Everything is blamed on Gamergate. Now, what's sad is a lot of people forget why Gamergate started. Gamergate started because of Zoe Quinn and the whole thing that was exposed where she was doing sexual favors to get favorable press in gaming. And then a lot of stuff came out where there was almost like an incestuous relationship with all these people in the gaming industry, basically writing each other favorable articles and boosting their own, you know, projects and stuff like that. And it's like a, you know, I scratch my back, you know, or you scratch my back, I scratch yours kind of situation. That was essentially the entirety of the industry, and it kind of blew wide open in 2014. And of course, this is when kind of like the shit hit the fan, because every single publication started writing that gamers are dead. You know, if you're a gamer, you're a misogynist. Everybody hates women in video games. It's ridiculous. So I think that's when the majority of, you know, a lot of people who played video games, they saw these publications saying, well, all gamers hate women. You know, we don't want women in games journalism or gaming or all of this stuff, which is completely not true. There was a lot of gaslighting that went on in Gamergate, and it's ridiculous that to this day people still think that it was just a group of online trolls harassing women because they're women, and that's not what it was at all. So yeah, you have all of this build up over, I would say, 7 years, you know, 2007 to 2014. And then the span of like 10 years between that was activism, games activism, not games journalism. So you started seeing the, politically correct articles or social commentary this and social commentary that. And it's like it got away from the gaming industry. Every, you know, review of a game had to throw in something about, you know, social commentary, to the point that people were sick of it and lecturing gamers because they're gamers. And again, over time, it kind of reached a boiling point where people were like, we've had enough. And I think what really blew up this time was basically what they're calling Gamergate 2.0, which I want to make another video on at some point in the future. But to go over it very briefly, Gamergate 2.0, as they call it, was a Steam group called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. What they do is they compiled a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on. Now, Sweet Baby Inc. is a consulting company who goes in, they hire them to come in and basically change things around a little bit to make sure that your game is diverse enough or inclusive enough or equitable enough, you know, to get your ESG score, environmental social governance score, to get your, you know, all of your funding, essentially, to make sure your game is politically correct enough or woke enough, you know. And of course, people were looking at all of the cringy stuff in new games, and they're like, well, all the games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on, you know, there's parts in them that you could say is a little questionable or a little annoying or something like that. And so this person made this group called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. All it was just a list of their games. which was publicly available knowledge on the Sweet Baby Inc. website. They had all the games that they worked on listed on their website. Well, because this person made a group called Sweet Baby Inc. Detected, games journalists went absolutely insane and tried to cancel this guy, essentially, get his entire Steam account removed. They basically harassed the guy nonstop. And then, of course, people called it out and said, why are you harassing this guy? He literally just made a group of games that, Sweet Baby Inc. worked on, and that's perfectly fine. You can make a list of games that somebody worked on and say, don't buy these games. But apparently that was a line too far, and now you're having the whole gaslighting thing going on, where games journalists are saying that they're being harassed because the people who are calling out their harassment against the person who created Sweet Baby Inc. Detected. It's a whole thing that I don't want to get into right now, but that's the short version. I mean, it's expanding, ridiculously every day, and come to find out, a lot of the people that are in the whole Sweet Baby Inc. controversy are the exact same people that gaslit people back in 2014. So that's another reason why the industry is dying. And not only that, so that was already bad enough. That's what? 17 years of the games journalism industry being absolute shit. And that's still not all of it. So now we get into the other side of it, which is with the advent of YouTube and other video hosting platforms, you have people able to create high quality reviews without the need of basically an editorial company or a publisher. You can grab a webcam, and of course people make much better produced videos than I ever will, but you can grab a webcam, some free editing software, and create something that's fantastic. And you also get that personal connection with the person who's making the videos because it's their videos. So I think a lot of the personalities that were big in games journalism have gone on to make their own YouTube channel, and it's kind of the evolution of games journalism, where you have individuals doing reviews or articles and stuff like that, instead of this big bloated industry, so to speak. So that's also a big factor. And then another nail in the coffin is the access journalism angle is actually kind of subsiding as well, because what's happening is all of these publishers and developers are actually giving away review codes to YouTubers who they know people watch. So it's no longer you have to be in the business to get review codes and early access to stuff. And then also E3 dying was another big one, because E3, all the major websites would go to E3 and have all of these scoops that they could get and break on their website and stuff like that. Well, E3 is no longer a thing. Now it's Nintendo Direct or PlayStation State of Play or whatever the Xbox one's called, and it's given directly to the consumer. And there's no reason to have these bloated, terrible video game websites that it's all access journalism and a big circle jerk, and everybody's sleeping with everybody for favorable, praise on their projects and stuff. It's like that's a thing of the past. There's no reason for it, and I'm glad it's dead. To me, it's been irrelevant for years, but this is kind of like the final nail in the coffin for a lot of people. They see it as like, okay, now the industry is dead. I'm like, no, it's been dead. Nobody cared about Kotaku. The only reason why people read Kotaku is to farm, rage bait clicks because their articles are so terrible. They talk about their terrible articles. Nobody actually reads this shit that actually gives anything about gaming, But yeah, that's my take on it. I think there's a multitude of factors why these websites kind of fell out of favor, but I think largely it's their own fault. Everybody, I'm sad these people lost their jobs on a level, because of course it sucks for anybody to lose their jobs, but they kind of did it to themselves. You don't go to a games journalism website and write articles that are activist articles for not even your demographic and saying gamers are dead, but you're writing on a gaming website for gamers, but you're constantly bitching that gamers are terrible, and you kind of killed your own brand. So that's my thought on the matter. If you like this video, of course, leave a like. Leave a dislike if you dislike the video. I don't want to get too political on this channel or anything like that. Of course, I need to give the caveat that even though I think Gamergate 1 and potential Gamergate 2 started with very good intentions, please nobody go and harass the people that are involved. Do not go start a flame war on their Twitter or something. Let's be adults here and just point out their hypocrisy and laugh at them like, you know, we want to. Don't give them ammunition. Don't engage. Just point and laugh and watch, you know, the stuff happen. I mean, they're kind of running themselves into the ground. It's beautiful. But yeah, that's my take. There's a lot more to this than just the recent, you know, controversy. It's been building up over time. There's really no use for these big websites anymore, and that's all I have to say. So I will see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and bye for now.